Hi, everyone. Josh Rugger here in studio once again. We've got strong thunderstorms that are beginning to push into portions of the river valley. Thankfully, on the weakening trend, but still something that we're watching very closely because with the amount of instability that we got in place, really anything can happen. So let's go ahead and look at how heating and cooling mega Doppler here. You can see a tremendous amount of lightning on these storms that are pushing along the I-40 corridor. Even the complex of storms that are moving into northwest Arkansas as well. And much like the last several systems, the models didn't even pick up on this at all. So now we're having to stick around and watch it very closely. But you can see that cluster of storms now moving into Sequoia County, as well as western portions of LaFleur County. Tremendous amount of lightning once again just to the west of Sallisaw. We've got our WeatherBug Network cameras facing off to the west and the River Valley. And should be a nice lightning show in just a few moments. Hopefully, that's all it is. Hopefully, it just provides some lightning and some heavy rain in areas that need it. Because I know Jeff, I believe you live in the River Valley. You want some rain there, and certainly this can provide that. And hopefully, we see that severe weather potential continue to decrease. We didn't see a severe thunderstorm warning clip far western portions of Sequoia County earlier, but that has since been dropped. Now, these are just strong thunderstorms that are producing about 50-mile-per-hour winds and penny-sized hail, and hopefully those continue to be on the downtrend. But in northwest Arkansas, a little bit less in terms of the strength of these storms, actually a lot less in terms of how strong these storms, not nearly as much lightning going on off to the west of I-49 and Bentonville and Fayetteville, but still could get a little rainy, a little bit loud as those storms push off to the east. So we're here, we're watching it very closely, and that's why we fired up this weather live. So we just let you be prepared for what's coming, because right now the good news is these storms aren't really taking off too much. They were earlier. They were a whole lot stronger just to the southwest of Tulsa, and now they're beginning to weaken just a little bit. But still a great lightning show potentially on tap for Fort Smith. We'll go ahead and go to that Fort Smith WeatherBug Network camera. This is the Miss Loris historical site cam, and you can see maybe a nice little shelf cloud feature on the horizon there. Still a little far away to see the exact details, and also a little bit too far away to see that lightning, but it could be quite the show in just a minute in the River Valley. Let's also look at that Fort Smith Public Library camera. That's also facing to the west here. There you go. You can see that storm beginning to move in as well. So within about 30 minutes or so, we're going to start seeing these storms move into northwest Arkansas, the River Valley, and we'll see what they do from there. But the good news is they are on the weakening trend. So that's certainly a positive trend. And like Josh Weisel mentioned, none of the models had this. Not one of them. HRRR, the NAM 3 kilometer, every single model just butchered this, except kind of the Rufus model. The Rufus did indicate that there could be some of that potential, but I didn't really pick up on it until the last second. So, yeah, Josh, it's just been a very, very uh, troubling trend with the models. Truth be told, it's very disturbing. If I'm going to be honest, because that's our guidance. That's supposed to be our guidance to help us give you guys the information that you need to stay safe. And if they can't even pick up on what's going on right now, it's pretty hard to do forecasting in the longer range. So we're watching them very closely. Again, if we go back to Mega Doppler here, you can see that cluster of storms beginning to push into portions of the River Valley. Frequent lightning looks like the main concern at this time, along with gusty winds up to 50 miles per hour. But if we put this into motion, you'll see earlier on there was that severe thunderstorm warning in effect for far western portions of Sequoia County. Also saw that cluster of storms develop in portions of NWA. Now, look at this here. We've got another cluster of storms that's moving south and east towards the Bartlesville area. And that could move into northwest Arkansas pretty soon. So this could be a rainy day, folks, for some of us in our area. I mean, it looks like it's about to rain up and down the I-49 corridor based on what we're looking at right now in Mega Doppler. But we've got additional development moving into the northwest of this complex of storms. And again, none of the models showed this. It was supposed to be a hot, mostly sunny day across the entire area. And now that's probably not going to come to fruition. I mean, we're certainly not going to reach 98 in the River Valley. It'd be very surprising if we got that hot in the River Valley this afternoon. And it's because the models are just not picking up on these things. Good question. Should I cover my patio furniture or not in Rogers? So here's the deal. It's going to be raining pretty soon, so it could be a little bit wet in northwest Arkansas, but honestly, not too bad. Here's the thing, though. Later on tonight into tomorrow morning, we do have the potential for some pretty damaging storms in northwest Arkansas. So I would go ahead and get that done, uh, just in case. Not for these storms, but for the ones that are coming through overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. The potential those storms have are a whole lot greater than this line at this time. Um, so, good question, Christopher. These are already dying down, but they are going to move into our area. So we are going to see shower storm activity within the next 30 minutes to an hour in portions of the river valley and in portions of northwest Arkansas, especially the river valley. Though, look at all this lightning that's going off. So frequent lightning. Wouldn't want to be outdoors right now with these storms moving in, but just be ready because it's about to get a little bit loud and a little bit rainy in the river valley. Jacob, could these storms lessen the overnight storms? And Mitchell, you had a very similar question. Um, so that's a difficult one to answer right now because, first of all, the models didn't even pick up on any of this. So this is going to be interesting to see how that impacts the storms overnight. My thing, though, is these storms are moving in at about 11, 12 o'clock. We still got plenty of day to go, especially in northwest Arkansas. That's the issue I've got right now because northwest Arkansas is not going to see a whole lot of activity now. You got this additional cluster of storms that could be moving to the south and east. That could cause some impacts to the storms overnight tonight, I think, if this does move in. That's still up in the air if that happens. But if this does move in, I think that would impact the storms a little bit. The thing is that tonight we are going to see that warm front lift to the north. We're going to see a tremendous amount of instability surge in. The dew points are obviously going to be through the roof. So the storms could still be pretty bad tonight. But that is a good question there by both of you. I do want to look at the latest update. We're going to get that in just a few moments from the Storm Prediction Center. But Jacob, you said there's a shelf cloud-like feature visible in Farmington. So let's go ahead and look at some of our cameras here in northwest Arkansas. So this is the Mount Sequoia cam. You can see those storms off in the distance there. It's kind of hard to tell right now, Jacob, from our WeatherBug Network cameras if that is a shelf cloud or not. I think there definitely is one moving into the river valley, but here comes those storms. You can see them moving in right now. It is about to get a little bit rainy in portions of northwest Arkansas. It's going to get loud in the river valley, though. This is a lot of lightning that's starting to move in. Look at these storms. A little bit better structure with these storms in the river valley, but definitely on the weakening trend and highly elevated, too. Let's look at the Huntsville camera. This is not facing the right way. I'd hate to move it because it's a time-lapse camera, but I also want to make sure we're looking off to the west here. So I'm going to move this camera. You can see that anvil, though. Certainly an anvil feature moving in. So there you go. There's a good look at the storms. Not too impressive in northwest Arkansas. Jacob, I would try it. And by the way, that's in Lincoln, that camera that you're talking about. But that camera is down right now, so I can't show it. I can't show it, Mitchell, unfortunately. So, but here's the deal. As funky as the clouds look, it's not that big of a deal in northwest Arkansas. Quick shot of rain, some lightning, but no severe weather potential in northwest Arkansas with this cluster of storms. Taylor asked, will the river valley have storms overnight? So there is still the possibility, Taylor, that the river valley has some storms, but not as impactful as northwest Arkansas overnight tonight. I think northwest Arkansas is going to be the main focus for shower and storm development tonight. I think there is the potential for higher and severe weather with those storms too. We'll talk a little bit more about that on the tail end of this weather live. But right now, still watching these storms move into northwest Arkansas. Miss Laura's historic site certainly got a great side of these storms. Mitchell, thank you for sending that in. I definitely do want to check that out when you've got it sent in. But yeah, it's going to be a pretty loud night in portions of northwest Arkansas. Just now was looking at the latest MCDs. MCDs are what the Storm Prediction Center issues in order to talk about specific severe weather situations. And the those mesoscale discussions, I should say MD. I don't know why I said MCD. I'm thinking of MCV, which is what we could see tonight. But I'm going to show you that real quick because this is interesting. Dan just tweeted me this, and I thought this was very interesting as well. I'm going to share my screen here so we can take a look at that. So stand by real quick as I pull that up. But kind of an interesting trend from the Storm Prediction Center. So it looks like a moderate risk of severe weather is going to be issued pretty soon for portions of northern Oklahoma. Now, this doesn't include our weather coverage area, right? But it does mean that enhanced risk of severe weather could shift a little farther east. So if you remember the update that we had earlier, had that severe weather risk just on the edge of the Fayetteville and Bentonville areas right along the I-49 corridor. If there is indeed a moderate risk of severe weather issued, which it looks like there will be a moderate risk of severe weather issued based on this MCD or this MD, then that means that the enhanced risk could shift a little farther east. So we'll watch that very closely. We should get another update on that severe weather risk within the next 5 to 10 minutes. So about 5 to 10 minutes, we're going to get an update from the Storm Prediction Center on that latest severe weather risk. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Dan pointed that out to me. And yeah, and so also got those pictures in. So I'm going to look at that, guys. I'll look at those pictures. Make sure my screen's still showing up here. Okay, this is not the right person. So stand by. We're going to have to pull up a different tab here. We're going to take a look at your pictures on Twitter. But while I'm doing that, let's go ahead and go back to Mega Doppler here. Uh-oh. Looks like my computer's starting to crash a little bit here. All right. If you guys can still hear me, I hope you guys still can because it looks like I'm getting some lag here. Okay, there we go. All right, we're good to go. Take a look at that cluster of storms moving into portions of the river valley. I'm going to keep it on Mega Doppler here. I'm going to pull up my social media so I can see those pictures you guys sent me because I am interested to see what exactly is going down in western portions of Benton and Washington County. It could be those clouds that were going down in Tulsa earlier. Dan was just mentioning that to me. Oh, dang. I don't think it's going to pull up, guys. Right now, I'm getting some big-time lag every time I try to pull up social media, so I'm going to have to close that out because we're not going to be able to show that. I'm sorry, guys. I want to, but right now, every time I try to pull it up, it keeps trying to crash. So anyway, we'll look at some other cameras here. We'll get a good look at it. I'll retweet those photos after we're done here. But certainly about to get loud in portions of the river valley. Let's go back to that Miss Laura's Weatherbug Network camera, and let's look at what's starting to move in now into portions of the river valley. There you go. Now it's starting to look pretty nasty out there. So within about 30 minutes or so, the river valley is going to start getting impacted by these storms. Right now, no severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for any county in our weather coverage area. In fact, there's no severe thunderstorm warnings in the United States. However, we still could see some strong storms in the river valley within the next few moments or so. I also want to take a look at that public library camera. Yeah, definitely starting to get a little bit more nasty there. Let's look at the I think I just saw a lightning strike there in the background as well. So now we're about to start seeing those lightning strikes, a lot of positive lightning strikes going on. So some CGs will be possible. So we'll keep an eye on that. So there's that little feature that you guys were talking about, Jacob and Mitchell. That's starting to move into portions of northwest Arkansas. It's a little bit harder to see right now in Fayetteville than it is in Lincoln. But I could definitely see somewhat of a shelf cloud-like feature moving into NWA there. You can see that in the Graduate Hotel camera. But I want to keep an eye on these cameras in Fort Smith because I think we're about to start seeing some pretty frequent lightning in just a moment. And both of these are facing off to the west. So we'll get a nice view of this. I don't want to adjust the public library camera anymore because that's our time-lapse camera. We also have it recorded right now in our software, but could see some gusty winds, but up to 50 miles per hour, penny-sized hail as well, but not expecting these to get too out of hand. within the next few moments or so. So we'll keep watching it very closely, and we'll continue to keep you posted on that. But while we're waiting on those to move in, I want to go back to our graphic system here because we are going to get an update on that severe weather potential literally within the next minute or so, if not already. We'll look at it right now. So not quite yet. We haven't gotten an update yet, but it will be happening very soon. And you're going to be the first to see it here if you are on the weather live stream. I know a lot of folks probably at work right now or at lunch. So we'll get an update on that within the next few moments or so. But right now, the enhanced risk of severe weather, at least with the current update, has it centered right along the I-49 corridor. Again, the majority of the severe weather potential for northwest Arkansas is going to be overnight tonight into tomorrow. And I think we just got an update on that as we speak. So there's the moderate risk of severe weather that was just now issued for northern Oklahoma and southern Kansas, which makes sense because these storms that develop in this environment are going to have the potential to produce very significant wind gusts, potentially up to 80 miles per hour. So it makes sense that the moderate risk of severe weather was issued there, but no real changes to northwest Arkansas. One thing I did notice is the slight risk did expand farther south. So our entire weather coverage area is now at least under a slight risk of severe weather. So that was the big change for our area. We didn't see the enhanced risk shift to the east, but we did see the slight risk expand to include the river valley as well. And that could also be with the storms that are moving through right now, but that may be a sign that this cluster of storms could be a little bit wider and larger than what the models are showing. So we'll keep a close eye on that. The audio is meh. So I'm sorry if that's the case. Let me look at the audio right now just to make sure. It looks like it's working fine, but sometimes I think what's going on is our computers are lagging right now, truth be told. I wasn't able to even pull up my social media account, so apologize for the audio troubles if you're experiencing that right now. We'll try to get it fixed before overnight tonight. That's for sure. So, let's see here. Outflow boundary, very noticeable on radar near the Washington County border, and that is correct. In fact, you want an outflow boundary, I can show you that right now. Let me go to Mega Doppler, and look at that right there. That's your outflow boundary starting to show up on radar right along the Fort Smith radar. Pretty good little storm just to the northwest of Fayetteville, so that could be moving in pretty soon. Josh asked, what's the tornado risk? So that's a good question because I have not looked at the specific risk yet. So this is the latest severe weather risk for northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. Not a whole lot of changes to the enhanced risk, but the slight risk does now include the River Valley. So let's look at the wind. Still got the potential for significant wind gusts. Now that has changed a little bit. That's gotten a little bit less prominent. That just includes northwest Arkansas, areas along and north of Interstate 40. But still, the main threat is in far northwest Arkansas and western Benton and Washington County with a little bit less confidence the farther east you go. In terms of hail, thank goodness this didn't go up. Don't want to see any gorilla hail. That looks like it's going to stay well to the west of our area. And then, Josh, you were just asking about the tornado potential. So on this graphic, the Storm Prediction Center has the tornado potential off to our west. But Dan and I were talking about this on the previous weather live stream. I do think that there is still a low-wind threat for tornadoes, very similar to what we saw a couple of weeks ago, June 17th, with that derecho, where we didn't have a tornado risk outlined over our area, but we talked about that leading up to the event where if the storm takes the correct motion and we don't have any outflow boundaries that interact with these storms, still, I would make sure I have a way to receive warnings tonight. If not for the tornado potential, for the wind potential, because as you saw there is still a threat for significant wind gusts over 70 miles per hour over a large portion of northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. So there's the latest update. Not a whole lot of changes except for that slight risk expanding into portions of the River Valley. So let's go back to that Fort Smith, Miss Laura's Weatherbug Network camera, because now there's your shelf cloud starting to move in right there. I'm going to move myself out of the way so you can get a good view of that. We're also about to see a ton of lightning within the next few moments or so. Let's look at the public library cam as well. Maybe not as good as a view as that another camera. So let's go back to the Miss Laura's cam here. So Sarah, the timing on this, we've got a cluster of storms moving in right now into the river valley, like within the next 15 minutes. It's about to start pouring in the river valley. Could start pouring in northwest Arkansas as well, but the severe weather potential is a lot lower with this particular complex. But we do have more storms on the way overnight tonight between 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. And I would show you the models right now, Sarah. I would show you a future track, but the problem is the models are just doing a terrible job. So there's almost no point to showing it right now, unfortunately. But look at that nice shelf cloud feature showing up there in Fort Smith. Take a quick look at Mount Sequoia. A little bit more elevated. You could tell the storms aren't as strong moving into northwest Arkansas because it's a little bit lower to the ground and a little bit more defined in the river valley, but still pretty impressive. So some good stuff going on there. And it's always good when you don't have severe weather. And right now we don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. But this line of storms is still pretty nasty. 50-mile-per-hour winds, penny-sized tail, still a possibility. No rotation at all right now. Still watching it closely just in case, but none of that at this time. Frequent lightning, though. Look at all that lightning that's going on to the west of Fort Smith. And even some lightning strikes extending outside the big complex. You saw that little lightning strike just a moment ago near Fort Smith. So certainly something to watch very closely. Let's go back to this. I want to see if we get any lightning strikes with this here. Starting to get some thunder in Fort Smith, Arcoma. So, yeah, it's right on your doorstep, Joshua. Right on your doorstep in Arcoma. Within about 5 minutes or so, it's about to start pouring. Look at that shelf cloud. That is a beauty. Glad we're getting that recorded right now in our new software. But speaking of which, we've got a tremendous software now with our cameras where we can record this up to the second. So we're going to get a tremendous view of this. You're going to see a really good time lapse within the next couple of days from this camera. That is a beautiful shelf cloud that's starting to move into the river valley. Wow. Glad we got a view of that. So, Melissa, if we get a lot of rain today, will it change the severe weather risk for tonight? That we talked about that just a moment ago. It could very well do that, and especially if these storms that are going on to the northwest of the complex move into portions of NWA. Because right now, I would say it's moving in a little bit too early for it to really impact the storms tonight. Because we could get more instability, we could get some more sunshine. We're not seeing a whole lot of rain in northwest Arkansas, where the main severe weather potential is for tonight. River Valley, though, I think overall the severe weather risk is a whole lot less tonight with those storms that are moving in between about 1 to 6 o'clock. So good question there, and we'll talk more about that in just a minute. But I want to keep an eye on this because, I mean, this is just a stunning view right now, guys. I absolutely agree, Sarah. Great view of that shelf cloud moving into the river valley. How long till it hits the Bentonville area, Jason? So just want to say this right now. Northwest Arkansas, Bentonville, Fayetteville, Rogers, those locations, these storms aren't going to be too big of a deal that are moving in right now. Just some brief, spotty, heavy rain showers, maybe a little bit of lightning. Wouldn't want to be outside, but not anything severe, not anything like what's about to go down in Fort Smith. Wow, that is a great view there. David, good question. I can pull that up right now because it's important that we keep an eye on those dew points with that warm front lifting to the north. And this could give you a good clue as to where that warm front is. So check this out. I'm going to briefly go away from that camera just to show you that real quick. Dew points sit at 66 in Fort Smith, 68 in Stigler, 68 McAllister. Current warm front position, by the way, is about right here, I would say. That's where the warm front is at this time. Northwest Arkansas, you see those dew points in the upper 50s. Those dew points will surge as that rain moves in to Northwest Arkansas, but it's not because the warm front is north of the area yet. It's because of the rain moving in. But there's an even better view of where the warm front is. You see where all that yellow is? That's where those dew points in the 70s are being seen. That's where the current position of the warm front is at this time. And that's lifting to the north right now. So good question. Let's go right back to the cameras, though, because there's a view of the shelf cloud from the public library camera. There's an even better view, and it's starting to storm. Oh, wow. So we just got a nice little view of lightning. Got it right when we needed it. We got it. So we're going to start seeing some pretty big-time lightning strikes in the river valley in just a moment because this storm is gnarly. And thankfully, not severe, but we could see some strong winds in just a few moments in the Fort Smith area. So we'll keep an eye on this storm right now. Anderson, by the way, I would say good to go.
Okay, Charles will be back at noon, so
Okay.
gotta wait 20 minutes.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. But right now, these are just
Call me if we need to do
yeah, absolutely. Okay, it looks like we got a severe thunderstorm warning that was just now issued. So let's check it out. It was just now issued, so we just got a severe thunderstorm warning.
So that's okay.
Let's see if it's considerable or not. But right now we just got a new severe thunderstorm warning for the river valley, I'm assuming. Hasn't gone into my graphics yet, but we're about to get it in just a minute. So stand by on that. But there's that shelf cloud moving in, and we got back to the cameras just in time for a pretty impressive lightning strike. That was pretty awesome to see. So there's the Mount Sequoia cam. There's the shelf cloud beginning to move in there, but way more impressive in the river valley. Okay. So just got that severe thunderstorm warning. Let's go back to highly heated cooling mega Doppler here. So there's a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Sebastian County, as well as Crawford County, Sequoia County, and LaFleur County. That goes until 12:15 p.m. So these storms are moving pretty quickly off to the east at about 35 miles per hour. Main threat right now is 60-mile-per-hour winds. So we're going to keep it on the weather live here. If these storms do end up producing considerable damage, we will move to on-air coverage. But right now, we've got severe thunderstorms in the river valley as that line of storms moves in. And really, I shouldn't be surprised because the amount of instability we got is pretty impressive. So there's the storms moving in right now over the Miss Laura's camp. There's the wind. You can see those trees there starting to blow around in the wind. It's about to get pretty windy, so brace yourself in the river valley. It's coming within the next few moments or so. It's about to be a downpour in Fort Smith. And keeping a close eye on this storm right now. Again, the hail threat, about penny-sized hail, main threat with these storms, 60-mile-per-hour winds. So, Anderson, yeah, just stick around just in case.
Okay.
But I don't think cutting.
For 15 more.
Yeah, 15 more minutes until Charles comes in. Thanks for sticking around, by the way, man.
Yeah.
By the way, right now, guys, got Anderson, one of our fantastic directors, been sticking around all morning, burning the morning oil, not the midnight oil, and earning some overtime at the same time. So appreciate him staying in today and keeping an eye on these storms. And we got more coming up later on tonight. So looks like we will be burning the midnight oil together, I guess. But Marley, no wind risk right now for Northwest Arkansas. That comes later tonight. The storms that are moving in at this time are for portions of the river valley. So just a heads up there. No wind risk with these storms that are moving into Northwest Arkansas. But the ones in the river valley right now are going to be the ones that we're watching very closely. Jason, it's getting a little dark in Fayetteville, and certainly could see that. There's that little complex of storms moving in. The good news is, Jason, is that for Northwest Arkansas, these storms are going to stay below severe limits. You can see that right now. Just occasional lightning, some spotty heavy rain, and that's about it for Northwest Arkansas, at least with this cluster of storms. So it is getting windy now in the river valley. You're looking at those storms there. We're going to keep an eye on that public library camera. Any rotation with the storms moving in right now, Stacy? No rotation with the storms. I'm keeping a close eye on that because we know it can happen very quickly, as seen a couple of weeks ago. But right now, no rotation, so just strong winds. I mean, these storms are producing some strong winds, making the camera shake now. So uh, we're watching that very closely at this time. Interested to see here within the next few minutes or so what these storms are going to do as they move southeast, because they are taking a more southeasterly track through the river valley. You can see that here on Mega Doppler. I know the warning says it's moving off to the east, but you can kind of see some of these wobbling to the south of these. So I'm interested to see if that's enhancing these storms a little bit, making them a little bit stronger. But the main threats right now in the river valley are 60-mile-per-hour winds and abundant lightning. Do want to get a storm track on the storm, so stand by there. I'm going to keep it on the. Wow, it's getting really windy over the Miss Laura's cam. That is for sure. Very gusty winds moving through the river valley at this time. And we're taking a look at that Fort Smith Public Library camera. Also seeing some gusty winds there too and some lightning. So I'm going to get a storm track on this, and we'll time out everything here. These storms are moving off to the east at 35 miles per hour. Severe thunderstorm warning again in effect for portions of the river valley. So stand by on that storm track. I'm the only one here right now, so I've got to go back and forth with the graphics. So just bear with me for just a few moments here, and we'll time everything out. Has slowed down a little bit, so that's certainly something. But let's move this off to the east, about an hour and a half. So if we look at this storm track here, you can see those storms moving through the Van Buren area within the next minute or two. Van Buren, you're about to get some wind and some lightning and some heavy rain. Also, the Kibler and Mountainburg area, you could see some thunderstorms within the next about 15 to 20 minutes from now. I am going to adjust the storm track a little bit because that doesn't look quite right. Because I don't think Mountainburg is going to be impacted by severe thunderstorms. I think the severe storms are more along this line here, and I'm going to move this off a little bit more to the east-southeast. So, yeah, Fort Smith obviously getting impacted right now. Greenwood within about 15 to 20 minutes or so. Charleston at about 12:30 p.m. Boonville, 12:57 p.m. Paris, 1:08 p.m. Subiaco, near where that strong storm was a couple weeks ago, 1:17 p.m. And Lamar at about 1:30 p.m. So, again, that severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Crawford, LaFleur, Sebastian, and Sequoia County, and that will expire at 12:15 p.m. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if another severe thunderstorm warning was issued for these same areas pretty soon. So let's go right back to the Miss Laura's cam, and I hope that didn't go down because of the weather. So right now it's lagging. Oh boy, the camera just got moved, guys. So let me go back here to the Fort Smith Miss Laura's cam because I think we're just having some delay with the OBS device. Check this out, though. Look at that. Very strong winds going on in the river valley right now. Wow. That's 60-mile-an-hour winds going on there at Miss Laura's cam. So, Anderson, we might have to do a cut in here because that's pretty damaging winds.
All three stations?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do all three.
Okay.
I'll let you know when I'm ready. Okay. But we're gonna do a cut in, guys, real quick on air to talk about this because that is very strong winds. That's 60+ miles per hour in the river valley, no doubt about it. That moved the camera. I didn't adjust that, and that moved it in 180 in the complete opposite direction. So I'm getting mic'd up right now. I'm going to go ahead and go on air. We're going to provide a quick update for folks that are watching on TV with these thunderstorms. It's going to be very quick. I'll go ahead and air it on here too, so you guys can see that as well if you're watching on the Weather Live. But very, very strong winds moving through Fort Smith right now. Let's look at the public library camera as well, see if those are beginning to move through. And yeah, you can see the rain coming down in sheets at this time in Fort Smith. So, yeah, Anderson. So let's, I don't know.
How long do we want this?
About 3 minutes, give or take at most. It's just a cut in. We're not going to interrupt live coverage. We just want to let people.
Check the program.
Yeah. just want to let people know about these storms. So sorry, guys, that I'm kind of going all over the place right now. Just getting mic'd up and getting ready to go on air. And we're just going to provide a quick update for folks that are watching on TV because, man, I mean, these storms are really starting to ramp up right now. Look at that over the public library camera. That rain is coming down in buckets and so strong in the river valley that we're seeing those cameras lag a little bit and flip them in the complete opposite direction. So I'm just getting the show ready here real quick, making sure we got those cameras on tap. There's a Miss Laura's camera. We're going to go ahead and remove that. And again, guys, apologize for kind of going all over the place. There was a nice lightning strike there over the Miss Laura's cam. Just making sure we got everybody updated as these storms move through because they are producing some pretty strong winds in portions of the river valley. And just want to make sure our viewers that are watching on air are warned and kept safe with these storms because they can cause some pretty big problems, and they already are in the river valley, clearly. So they really ramped up. There's something about the river valley that gets these storms going, that is for sure. And so adjusting that storm track there, save current settings, and another nice lightning strike there over the public library camera. Yeah, that rain is really starting to come down. You can see it's wind driven too. Thankfully, not seeing a whole lot of hail. Wind is picking up in Van Buren about 40 miles per hour, says Larry. I believe it. I believe that. These are really starting to get going right now in the river valley. So, all right. So I've got my show ready to go here, I think. And we're going to go on air and just update folks really quick on these thunderstorms. And then we'll move right back to the weather live stream here. So I'm going to go make sure that Anderson's ready, and we'll keep it going here in just a few moments. So, all righty, folks, I'm going to go ahead and let Anderson know, and then I'll be right back. All right. Okay. Testing, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Testing. Can you hear me? Yep, I can hear you. Let's go ahead and just start from the wall. We'll go from there and then roll on. All right. All right. Okay, cool. Hey, hold on just 1 second. All right, we're good. Of the river valley at this time. We're taking a look at our Miss Laura's. This is actually the public library camera over Fort Smith. We got really strong thunderstorms that are pushing through the river valley. In fact, we had a wind gust that was nearly 60 miles per hour over our Miss Laura's weather bug network camera. You can still see that wind blowing, but earlier this camera was facing off to the west, and we didn't move it here in the weather lab. That shows you how strong those winds were in the river valley. So still keeping a close tab on this thunderstorm. You can see here on Heil Heating Cooling Mega Doppler, very strong line of storms pushing into the river valley right now, right over the Fort Smith area, just to the northwest of Barling, also near Spiro in LaFleur County, as well as Pecola. This storm is moving off to the east at about 35 miles per hour. It is expected to impact more locations in the river valley as we go throughout the rest of the morning and early afternoon hours. There's that severe thunderstorm warning. Again, the main risk is that damaging wind gust up to 60 miles per hour. It does expire at 12:15 p.m., includes Crawford, LaFleur, Sebastian, and Sequoia County.
If you put that into motion on a storm track, you can see about 12:18 p.m., so within about the next 15 minutes or so, Greenwood should be impacted by the storm. 12:27 p.m. in Mansfield, 12:49 p.m. in Waldron, 1:05 p.m. in Paris, and 1:27 p.m. in Lamar. And we're expecting additional showers and storms to develop as we move throughout the overnight hours tonight into tomorrow in portions of northwest Arkansas as well. It does look like the complex of storms is a little bit weaker the farther north you get. So again, that severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for portions of the River Valley. We did get the latest update from the Storm Prediction Center. Still got that level 3 to 5 enhanced risk along the I-49 corridor, along with the level 2 out of 5 slight risk for severe weather. If you want more information on these thunderstorms, we have a weather live stream going on right now. You can find that on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. But for now, stay safe, everybody, and we'll continue to keep you posted as we go throughout the rest of the morning. Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Doing that, man. Appreciate it. All right, guys. Can you hear me? Oh, I think I got everything changed. So thanks, Anderson, for doing that. Really appreciate it. And just wanted to give a quick update for the folks that were watching on TV, because this was a pretty intense line of storms that moved through the River Valley. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a confirmed report of destructive winds and portions of Fort Smith, because that was a pretty troubling scene there over our Miss Laura's cam. The camera completely flipped the opposite direction. So that shows you that we were talking about some pretty strong winds there. Now, again, the Miss Laura's camera is down now. So, we got no view of it anymore. It's just going back and forth. So that shows you that these winds were pretty intense just a moment ago. And we're looking at the public library camera at this time, and you can see the storm's beginning to die down just a little bit in the River Valley. If we look at our Cartwright Mountain Weatherbug Network camera, wow, look at that. That is absolutely amazing. That's a great view of that storm moving through Mountainburg. So let me start that recording on that. That is an absolutely stunning sight right there. Let me go ahead and click record. Just want to have that. Wow, great lightning strike too. We're getting it all here with these storms. So yeah, Josh, definitely starting to see a weakening trend, which is a great sign with those storms moving into the River Valley. But that was a big flare-up with those winds. And that was really, really strong winds over Miss Laura's camp. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw at least 50-mile-per-hour winds reported somewhere around that area, because those winds were pretty serious stuff. I'm going to go ahead and look at NWS chat here to see if we got anything or any confirmed wind reports. So, no, just more of the severe thunderstorm warning that's continuing. We haven't got any reports yet from NWS chat, but we'll keep a close eye on that for sure. But check out that view. That is an absolutely stunning view of that shelf cloud moving in over our Cartwright Mountain Weatherbug Network camera. These storms will move just a little bit south of Mountainburg, at least the bulk of the severe thunderstorms. So we'll get a nice view of that shelf cloud moving just to the south of Mountainburg in the next few moments or so. And I know a lot of folks also watching in Northwest Arkansas. These storms are more of a River Valley thing right now. It's all going down in the River Valley. A few isolated pop-up showers in Northwest Arkansas, but the big complex of storms is in the River Valley. And as we take a look at Mega Doppler here, you can see that complex moving through Barley now, just to the north of Greenwood. Still a ton of lightning with these storms, and causing some big-time problems. Apparently got some power out too. Vicky said that their power just went out near Uniontown and Cedarville. So that could have been caused by the winds or by the lightning. But wow, these storms are no joke right now in the River Valley. That is for sure. In fact, I'm going to look at that real quick and see what the power outage situation is. But there's the Fort Smith Public Library camera. Miss Laura's cam went down for some reason in our OBS, but it's still up and running for portions of Northwest Arkansas. So that's good there. Let's go back to that Cartwright Mountain Weatherbug Network camera. Look at that shelf cloud. Just a stunning view there. We should get a lightning show from that. It's facing, I think, just off to the southwest. That's the perfect angle to take a look at those storms. But let me go ahead and scroll through here and just look at the latest severe thunderstorm warning. A severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect for the River Valley continues until 12:15, and I think we might have just gotten an update too with the new severe thunderstorm warning. Stand by on that because our graphics system is going off right now. So watching these very closely. Thank you guys so much for bearing with me. I'm just trying to make sure that the graphics are working properly and that we're keeping tabs on everything for you to keep you safe. And obviously wanted to get that cut in just real quick for about 3 minutes to make sure the folks that were watching on TV were aware of these thunderstorms that were moving in. But let me see. I'm trying to find to make sure our Fort Smith camera is still working for Miss Laura. I think it is. Yeah, it is. Okay. So let's see here. So we just had a new severe thunderstorm watch. So that was what was just issued. So I'm gonna look at that real quick and see what counties that includes. That might be an extension of the current severe thunderstorm watch that was in the River Valley earlier. So I'll watch that. Okay, so it is an extension of it. Okay. So I'm going to show this real quick to everybody. So the severe thunderstorm watch that's over Crawford and Sebastian counties, that goes until 1 o'clock p.m. But you'll notice a new severe thunderstorm watch was issued in our far eastern counties, so Scott, Logan, and Johnson County. That goes until 5 o'clock p.m. And those thunderstorms are moving into those areas as we speak. So this is not for Northwest Arkansas. This is for the River Valley along the I-40 corridor. Again, the first severe thunderstorm watch centered over Fort Smith, that goes until 1 o'clock p.m. And the new severe thunderstorm watch issued for Johnson, Logan, and Scott counties, that goes until 5 p.m. So just wanted to give you an update on that severe thunderstorm watch. We haven't gotten a new severe thunderstorm warning yet, but I do anticipate that will change in just a few moments. So let's go back to that Cartwright Mountain Cam. You can see that line beginning to push through the area there. Good news is that it looks like Mountainburg will be spared by the severe weather potential. Let's see here. So this is our public library camera in Fort Smith. Looks like things are dying down in Fort Smith, thankfully. So that's a good sign. It looks like the majority of the storms are now pushing out of Fort Smith, but still got some gusty winds over our Miss Laura's camp. You can still see that flag blowing around in the wind. It was a whole lot worse just a few moments ago. That is for sure. It was a lot stronger over this camera. And in fact, it made it flip. So definitely was pretty strong winds there. Power came back on. Okay. Glad to hear that, Vicky. You were near the Cedarville area. So glad to hear that the power came back on there. But I'm going to keep an eye on that, especially as these storms continue to push off to the south and east. Man, that is a really, really nasty line, though. That's moving in just to the southeast of Barley. Very heavy rain beginning to move through Greenwood as well within the next few moments. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw some very strong winds in Greenwood as we speak as well. I know Zachary Hall is down there. I see some questions about Northwest Arkansas. So, Ruth, the reason why I'm not talking about Northwest Arkansas right now is because just not a whole lot of activity going on. The big storm is in the River Valley. A little bit of lightning, maybe some locally heavy rain, but it looks like this complex is dying off on the northern end. So at most, maybe some isolated shower activity in portions of Rogers and Northwest Arkansas. But again, look at that cluster of storms. That is, I know. Yeah. But I don't think we need to do another cut in.
Okay.
But Charles will be here. So, hey, thanks again, Anderson. Again, just wanted to shout out Anderson here on the weather live stream. He's been burning the noon oil, sticking around. He's been here since like 2:30 in the morning. So he's been all about that grind. And yeah, crazy thunder and lightning going on in Mountainburg. Here's our Cartwright Mountain camera. This is just outside of Mountainburg. So it looks like that outflow boundary is what's moving through, Jennifer. And I can show you that here on radar. So out ahead of the complex of storms, sometimes we could see outflow boundaries develop, and those outflow boundaries can cause some pretty strong winds. And you can see that right here, that little thin line out ahead of the main line of storms. That's the outflow boundary moving right through Mountainburg. And if we look at storm relative velocity, you can see that line of wind that's moving through. A little bit stronger the farther south you go, right, in the river valley, but still some strong winds in Mountainburg as well. Jason says it's raining in Fayetteville, so that lines up with radar, and certainly could get a little bit rainy in northwest Arkansas, but the severe weather potential is non-existent at this time, but it will ramp up later on tonight into tomorrow morning. So I want to see if the National Weather Service issues a new severe thunderstorm warning on this. Right now, it looks like they issued a significant weather statement for Crawford, Sebastian, southwestern Washington, Sequoia County, Adair County, LaFleur, pretty much up and down the line of storms. They issued a significant weather statement for strong winds up to 50 miles per hour. So just be aware, even if you're not in the severe thunderstorm warning, southern Washington County, the Mountainburg area, Cedarville, you could still have some strong winds, even though there's no severe thunderstorm warning issued. But it's this severe thunderstorm warning that's causing the big-time problems and why we had to do a cut-in real quick on air. Oh, absolutely, Roby. Definitely just here to keep you all safe and happy to do it for sure. So we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning that was just now issued as expected. That was issued for Crawford, Franklin, and Sebastian counties. It's with this little complex that's moving in towards Charleston. Man, that is a pretty gnarly line of storms that's moving in there near the Charleston area. So it's about to get loud. It's about to get windy near Charleston. And unfortunately, we don't have our Mount Magazine camera up and running right now. So I can't really show another view of that shelf cloud moving in. But there's the severe thunderstorm warning. You hear that beeping going on in the background. That's the weather radio going off, which is a great resource to have for the storms that could be moving through tonight in portions of NWA. We'll talk about that on the tail end of this live stream. But unfortunately, we don't have that camera working, and we also don't have the Alma camera working. Unbelievable. So we don't have Alma, and we don't have Mount Magazine. So I can't give you guys a great look at those storms, unfortunately, there. But still, big time line that was moving in through the River Valley right now. And we've got that new severe thunderstorm warning that was issued for portions of the River Valley. So I'm going to pull that up here on our graphics system so we can take a closer look at that severe thunderstorm warning again. Abundant lightning with all of these thunderstorms and causing some big time problems for sure. So there's that severe thunderstorm warning expiring in about 5 minutes. The new severe thunderstorm warning, this goes until 12:30 p.m. So a pretty quick turnaround on this. This only is going to last for about 20 minutes. But it is for 60-mile-per-hour winds, hailstones, less than severe limits. And it's for Crawford, Franklin, and Sebastian counties. And I want to see, too, the storm motion on this. We can make a new storm track on that little complex that's moving in towards the Boonville and Paris areas. So let me look here, stand by for just a few moments. Let me get the storm track there. So that storm is moving off to the east at 45 miles per hour. So I'm going to get this little squall line here. We'll move this at 45. And we'll draw it right along this line, along Highway 71, moving off to the east. So about the next 5 minutes in the Charleston area. Actually, it's really within the next 3 minutes. The winds are going to be ramping up in just a few moments in Charleston. Branch, 12:21 p.m. So in about 10 minutes or so, you're going to be impacted by these storms. Looking a little bit farther down the line, mentioned Boonville just a few moments ago. You could be impacted within the next 20 to 30 minutes. Maybe not as intense in the Boonville area, but Paris definitely could be intense at about 12:39 p.m., 12:42 in Coal Hill, 12:58 in Clarksville, and 1:04 p.m. in Lamar, taking aim at the same areas that were impacted by that tornado a couple weeks ago with that derecho on June 17th. So these storms are not tornadic at this time, thankfully, but still producing some very strong winds right now, just off to the west of Charleston. All right, so let's go back here. Let's look at our cameras. Again, things starting to really die down over the cameras that we can see because unfortunately we just don't have access to the Alma camera or our Mount Magazine camera. But We can look at Mega Doppler, and we can take a closer look here. Actually, there might be a way to look at this. Um, okay, just heads up. We were talking about that potential damage that went on in the river valley because those were very strong winds, folks, that moved through the river valley. And I thought we were going to get some damage reports from that. Sure enough, we have. So let me go back here. Looks like Fort Smith Fire Department was reporting some lightning strikes on trees, power lines down, and actually a tree falling on a house. Thankfully, the occupants were not inside the house when that happened, but there is some confirmed reports of damage in the Fort Smith area. So that was from the Fort Smith Fire Department, and unfortunately, it looks like there was some damage there. So I'll be interested to see what the official report was in terms of that wind, because it was very, very strong. No doubt about it. That's why we went on air for just a few moments there to keep people updated. But certainly a very strong storm that moved through Fort Smith just a few moments ago. Trying to see if we got any Arkansas Department of Transportation cameras on these storms. Unfortunately, it's kind of tough to see anything, especially considering that these storms are not moving exactly along Interstate 40, but still causing some problems. Definitely very heavy rain still going on near the Van Buren area. I see your comment, Carolyn, but it does look like things are starting to die down along the I-540 corridor. Definitely not about to die down, though, near Charleston and Highway 51. Things are about to get pretty nasty in just a few moments. State Highway 60, State Highway 217, about to get loud. State Highway 22, State Highway 41. Just get ready. If you live near Charleston and Branch, these areas, just get ready. It's about to get pretty loud, and the winds are about to get pretty gusty in these locations. So wanted to make one more storm track so you guys can see that real quick here. Again, these thunderstorms are moving off to the east at about 45 miles per hour. So if I put that storm track there right on top of Charleston, obviously, but near the Boonville area at 12:28 p.m., Paris at 12:38, Subiaco at 12:46, and Knoxville at 1:04 p.m. So definitely make sure you're keeping an eye on these storms because they do have a history of producing damage, and they already did that in portions of the river valley. Trying to get some more graphics created here so you folks can see what else is going on. I think Dan will be coming in just a few moments as well. So just trying to manage all these systems. Just wanted to give a quick update to social media on that damage report that went on there in the Fort Smith area. So, all right, let's go back here and let's look at the latest Mega Doppler image as these storms are progressing off to the east. Again, some of our cameras are down. It looks like we got a new severe thunderstorm warning that was just now issued for the rest of our weather coverage area. This is for Logan County, Northern Scott County, and Western Yale County. And that goes until 1 p.m. So those storms are moving out to the east now at 55 miles per hour. And that's for 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and quarter-size hail. So if we go back to the graphic system here, I'm going to eliminate that. Kind of scrolling over here. There's that severe thunderstorm warning again for portions of Logan and Scott County, and that goes until 1 o'clock p.m. Folks, I'm going to go use the restroom real quick because I've been holding in for the last several hours. So I'll be right back. I'm going to keep it on this image here, and we'll continue to keep you posted. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Just had to pop into the restroom real quick. But there's that new severe thunderstorm warning. Again, issued for Logan and Scott counties in our weather coverage area. That storm is moving off to the east at about 55 miles per hour. 60-mile-per-hour winds and penny-sized hail are the main concerns there. And you can see a little bit more of an intense complex of storms just off to the west, actually right over Charleston, just off to the west of Branch, near Washburn as well. Frequent lightning, but the good news is I am noticing a pretty good weakening trend from these storms. So hopefully that continues because they certainly ramped up right over Fort Smith. And unfortunately, it looks like there was some confirmed reports of damage. Again, in terms of that damage, that was from the Fort Smith Fire Department. They said that there was lightning that struck some trees, power lines down, and a tree that fell on a house. And thankfully, the occupants were out of the house. But that looks like that is a confirmed report. And I would be interested to see what the wind speeds were on that. I would say at least 60 miles per hour. We saw that over the Miss Laura's cam right before we went on air. So definitely a pretty nasty cluster of storms that are pushing through portions of the river valley. And we're watching it here very closely until they move out of our weather coverage area. We'll stay online with you guys. I know a lot of folks out at lunch or maybe at work right now, but just doing this to keep you posted and keep you safe if you are impacted by these storms in the river valley. Been here since 2 a.m., so burning the noon oil and just trying to keep it together here because we've got more storms coming tonight into tomorrow. We haven't even talked about that yet on this particular Weather Live, but we got more on the way for Northwest Arkansas. I know some folks may be watching in Northwest Arkansas. The storms that are moving in right now are nothing. They're nothing burgers, a little bit of lightning, a little bit of rain. That's about it. And, a lot of folks have been asking, are these storms going to impact those storms that are going right now? Is that going to impact what goes down overnight tonight into tomorrow? Right now for Northwest Arkansas, not that much because that cluster of storms is beginning to die down to our north and west. That's not going to move into our area. So we're going to have a nice pocket of instability right over Northwest Arkansas, and that concerns me quite a bit. So I know we have a viewer that also watches in Acoma. Police department reporting a power line down on Highway 9 Main Street in Acoma. So now we're starting to get reports of damage, which is no surprise considering how strong those winds were. And again, it was around this area here where things were really getting nasty. If I go back in time a little bit, see how that line of storms just really bows out. Anytime you see that bowing out from storms, that's a sign that the wind is getting very intense, that the rain is getting very intense. And that pushed right through Acoma and southern Fort Smith. So that was definitely concerning there. Severe thunderstorms still moving off to the south and east, though, right over Charleston, moving into Boonville very soon, as well as Paris. Waldron, you're about to get a pretty nasty storm. And starting to get to the far eastern fringes of our weather coverage area. Moving off to the east pretty quickly. Should be out of here, I think, or mostly out of our area by about 1 to 1:30 p.m. So continuing to watch it very closely right now. I wish we had some WeatherBug Network cameras to show you from Mount Magazine and from Alma, but unfortunately those are down right now, so I can't show those. So if you've got any questions or have any concerns, if you need a specific spot to talk about, I could do that. Certainly would be more than happy if you put that in the comments section. But right now, just still watching these storms very closely and continue to keep an eye on that. Again, that severe thunderstorm warning for Logan and Scott County in our weather coverage area expires at 1 p.m. And that's for 60-mile-per-hour winds and penny-sized hail. So I'm going to go back to the weather graphics here. Wanted to give you an update on that latest SPC Storm Prediction Center outlook. So there was a moderate risk of severe weather issued off to our west. We thought that might trickle over to the enhanced risk over Northwest Arkansas. That really didn't. The enhanced risk is the same, but the slight risk has been expanded. And I think that slight risk has been expanded because of the storms that are going on right now. All right. So it looks like that severe thunderstorm warning has now been upgraded with the considerable tag. So we're going to have to probably go back on air and do another cut in here. So just a quick update on that severe thunderstorm warning I was just talking about. It looks like the National Weather Service in Tulsa has upgraded that to a severe thunderstorm warning with a considerable tag. So considerable means that we could have damaging wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour. And you can see that right there with that storm that's moving off into the Boonville area. So when we get a storm track on it, again, it's moving off to the east at 55 miles per hour. I'm going to get that storm track drawn for you guys real quick so you can see where that's moving towards. It's moving off to the east at 55 miles per hour. It should be in the Boonville area within the next few moments or so, right around 12:30 p.m. Paris at 12:38 p.m. Waveland at 12:52, Dardanelle at 1:21 p.m., and Danville at 1:12 p.m. So we're going to have to probably do another cut-in just a few moments here. So just stand by. We're going to transition to on-air for just a few moments. And then we'll be right back here on the Weather Live and continue to keep you posted. I'm going to make sure we've got somebody in studio right now so that we can go ahead and get that done. Charles? And we'll just start from the wall. This is going to be one. All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and switch the audio source here so you guys can hear what we're talking about on air.
Now, your Weather Authority forecast with Josh Rugger.
Hi there, folks. Hope you're having a good Tuesday so far. Wanted to give you an update on those severe thunderstorms that are occurring in the River Valley. Just got an update from the National Weather Service office in Tulsa. We have a severe thunderstorm warning with a considerable tag attached to it for portions of the weather coverage area. This severe thunderstorm warning is for 70-mile-per-hour winds and penny-sized hail. And you can see that pretty nasty line of storms beginning to push off to the east right now at about 55 miles per hour. Areas near Boonville, Waldron, and Paris could be impacted by the severe thunderstorm. And you can see a little bit closer here. Again, this is radar indicated, but this storm has a history of producing damage. We saw reports from the Fort Smith Fire Department of power lines that were down, as well as a tree that unfortunately went over a house. So this storm means business right now. We're watching it very closely in the weather lab. If we put a storm track on that, should be arriving near the Boonville area within the next 4 or 5 minutes. So make sure you're taking your severe weather precautions in Boonville. Also in Paris at 12:38 p.m., 12:52 p.m. in Waveland, 1:06 p.m. in Belleville, 1:12 p.m. in Danville, and 1:21 p.m. in Dardanelle. Again, these thunderstorms are racing off to the east. We could see additional development in portions of northwest Arkansas as we go throughout the overnight hours tonight. Just got an update from the Storm Prediction Center in terms of that exact severe weather risk. You can see that level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk for the storms that come through overnight tonight between 1 to 6 o'clock a.m. These thunderstorms will have the potential to produce destructive winds of 70 miles per hour or greater. So we'll watch those trends very closely. We'll continue to keep you posted on the latest information, and we'll transition more coverage on our Weather Live. You can find that on Facebook and Twitter. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, everybody. Stay safe. All right, perfect. Thank you. Yes.
So we're seeing 70-mile-per-hour winds. And there is confirmed damage, by the way, in the River Valley. So Fort Smith Fire Department said that there was power lines down, a tree fell in a house.
Jesus.
The occupants were not in the house, though, so that's very good. Power line down, as well as Arcoma, excuse me, which is right along the border. It's like right here. So there was confirmed damage.
Where is this? Is this on?
This is NWS chat that we're looking at here. So folks, sorry about that. We just did a quick cut in there on air. Just wanted to let our viewers that were watching on TV know what was going on. But again, we've got that severe thunderstorm warning with the considerable tag attached to it right now in portions of the River Valley. Again, that's for Logan and Scott counties in our weather coverage area. It's right over Boonville at this time. This storm has a history of producing a damage. And so we're watching it very closely as it moves off to the east at about 55 miles per hour. And of course, we'll continue to keep you posted on the latest information as more comes in. But again, I just told Jesse, who is one of our directors here and one of our managers, that there was confirmed damage in Fort Smith and just to the southwest of Arcoma, including a tree that fell in the house. Fortunately, there was no occupants inside the house at the time, but that tells you these storms mean business. And we got more potentially coming through overnight tonight into tomorrow for Northwest Arkansas. Right now, though, these storms are moving through the River Valley. We've got that considerable tag attached to it. Again, if we go back to the graphic system here, if we got that storm track attached, Boonville, right now you're getting impacted by these storms. Paris within the next, I would say, 5 to 10 minutes or so, maybe not as intense as what's going on just a little farther to the south, but still severe thunderstorms. 12:52 p.m. in Waveland, 1 p.m. in Havana, 1:06 p.m. in Belleville, and 1:12 p.m. in Danville, and 1:21 in Dardanelle, which is just outside of our weather coverage area. So, again, these storms are pretty strong, and none of the models picked up on them. You could see it as it raced off to the south and east, causing damage in the River Valley, and now continuing to move towards central Arkansas. And seeing these storms this morning has really got me concerned about what could go down tonight, because not one model, not a single one, showed storms like this occurring in the River Valley. Not a single one. And so we're going to have to be on our A game once again tonight. And, of course, we're on this Weather Live right now just to keep you posted on what's going on in the River Valley. But I just had to do a cut-in just a few moments ago. I wish we had some cameras to show you from these storms. But unfortunately, all of our WeatherBug Network cameras are down in Alma and from Mount Magazine. I'm sure it's probably a stunning sight there. I've been looking along our Arkansas Department of Transportation cams too. Unfortunately, they're all along I-40, so we just can't get a good view of it. But I'm just letting social media know about those confirmed damage reports real quick. So stand by on that. All right. So outlook timing for Northwest Arkansas or later north of Huntsville. So if you're in Northwest Arkansas, you have nothing to worry about with these storms that are moving through right now. None of these are severe at this time. In fact, if we look at our Huntsville WeatherBug Network camera, these storms are moving in, but they're not very strong at all in Northwest Arkansas. But later on tonight into tomorrow, we do have a higher end severe weather threat. And I'll show you why that is once these storms move out of our weather coverage area that are going on in the River Valley. But if you wanted the latest severe weather outlook, you can see here from the Storm Prediction Center that we've got still a level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk of severe weather just to the west of Huntsville, but including Fayetteville, Bella Vista, Bentonville, Salem Springs, Gravette. These areas in western Benton and Washington counties are under that enhanced risk of severe weather. And throughout that entire enhanced risk, there is the potential for 70-mile-per-hour winds or greater. So this could be a pretty intense line of storms that moves through these areas later on tonight into tomorrow. Again, in the River Valley, I think the main severe weather threat is occurring at this time with this cluster of storms that is beginning to progress in the southeast. And speaking of which, I was telling you guys about those damaging wind reports in the River Valley. And look at this. And this is right near our Miss Laura's camp, by the way. This is what we were watching just a few moments ago on the camera live. And we got that recorded too. So you're going to be seeing a lot more where that came from. But there's a thunderstorm wind damage near Arcoma. That the time of that report was at 11:47. Power line down on Highway 9A, Main Street in Arcoma. Of course, that was radar estimated in terms of timing of that. But if we take that out of the picture and we also look at this other damage report in Fort Smith, you can see that this occurred around the same time. Power lines down and that tree that fell on a house. Thankfully, the occupants were out of the house, and that was, of course, reported from ham radio. And I mean, really, we could confirm that from our Weatherbug Network cameras. We saw our historic site camera at Miss Laura's literally flip 180 degrees because of the storms that were moving through there. So that shows you how strong it was and how damaging these storms were. And thankfully, it looks like those folks were out of their house before those thunderstorms impacted their home. But wow, these storms, I mean, none of the models were showing it. And this is why we are just so concerned about tonight, because the models are also doing a pretty terrible job with how things are going to evolve. So watching this storm complex pretty closely. Strong winds about to be moving through Paris, probably moving through Paris right now. The magazine area right over our Weatherbug Network camera, which is down right now. I cannot believe it. That frustrates me to no end. But that severe thunderstorm warning that you're seeing there with that considerable tag is for 70-mile-an-hour winds. It's moving off to the east at 55 miles per hour and will expire at 1 o'clock p.m. So within the next 25 minutes or so. So we still got a long way to go. But once this storm moves into Yell County, we're going to drop this weather live. We're going to take a nap, or at least I'm going to take a nap because I am exhausted right now. But still, definitely, these storms are causing damage. And that's why we're here, and that's why we're just providing that update. I know a lot of folks have left, but just want to make sure that those who are in these areas are warned about it and at least have the ability to actually see what's going on here. So, again, if you're in the Paris area, you need to be taking your severe weather precautions. I would be going to the lowest floor of an interior room in your house. Same deal in Havana and in Danville. I know that's outside of our weather coverage area, but I know some folks that may know people who live there. I would be taking those severe weather precautions. Blue Mountain as well, Waveland, State Highway 10, as well as State Highway 309. I can plot these out for you guys if you want to see specific roads as well. So if I plot that out, you see there's State Highway 10, State Highway 309. That's 309. If we go a little bit farther north here, this is Elm Street, South Elm Street in Paris. Moving towards Subiaco along State Highway 22 and East Walnut Street. So if you live near these locations, make sure you're in the lowest floor, interior room of a building, and just taking those severe weather precautions. State Highway 217 as well. State Highway 80 near the Blue Mountain area. Lake Valley Road. These areas, just make sure you're staying weather aware as these storms move off to the south and east. And again, we could go back here to our storm track here. I can make a new one to show you where exactly these storms are heading. They are moving to the east at about 55 miles per hour. And you can see kind of that Boeing segment there. That's why these storms have that considerable tag attached to them. That's why they have the potential to produce 70-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-sized hail, too. So that got upgraded a little bit in terms of those hailstone sizes. But 12:39 p.m. in Magazine, it's already pretty much impacting the Magazine area at this point. You're getting some strong winds there. 12:43 p.m. Sugar Grove, 12:47 p.m. Blue Mountain. Just talked about that. 12:53 p.m. Waveland, and 1:14 p.m. in Danville. So there's that latest storm track there. Again, that's in Logan and Scott counties. That expires at 1 p.m. and that's for 70-mile-per-hour winds. So keeping an eye on that. You know what? Just for fun, let's see how the old Graph 3 kilometer is handling these storms right now. So, oh my goodness, is that awful, folks? This is why, if you're still on here on this Weather Live and you're watching, this is why we are just so concerned about tonight, because look how bad the models are doing. This is supposed to be right now. According to this model, this is what's going on right now. So let's keep it on this model, right? And let's look at Mega Doppler to compare. Not even close. Not even in the same stratosphere or same universe, as Dan Scoff would say, in terms of where exactly these storms are right now. So how are we supposed to trust these models later on tonight? Look at that. Just terrible. Not even close. And a lot of the models aren't showing a whole lot tonight. And I'll tell you, I think that is a load of baloney. I think we are going to see storms. Look at this model. Not even a drop of rain in the River Valley. And, not even a cluster of storms making it into Northwest Arkansas either. That's just terrible, guys. I'm sorry I'm ranting and raving right now. I know a lot of folks want to see the models and want to see the timing and want to see what's going to go down in their area. But if the models are this bad, it's just so hard to show you guys this thing and show you the timing. Let's look at the HRRR. Okay, so a little bit better. Still not great. This is the extended version, of course. Look at that. It's just so bad. It's so bad. That's, of course, the extended HRRR. So let's cut a little bit. It's like, okay, a little bit better, but it's way off in terms of the position of the storms right now. So, again, let's see, maybe, okay, now it's got a little bit farther south. So starting to maybe work itself out a little bit. But this is why, guys, we are struggling to pinpoint the timing of these storms, because our guidance, our models that are supposed to give us that guidance are doing a horrible job. And that's why we say it's guidance. It's not a forecast. We make the forecast. These are just tools that we have in order to help us make a forecast. But is it really a tool if it's not even in the same universe? Not really. And David, I see your comment and I'm laughing right now. I wish I could show it. But you know what? You're not wrong on that front. You're not wrong on that front. So again, here's that severe thunderstorm warning that with that considerable tag attached to it, starting to move out of our weather coverage area, thankfully. Within the next 20 minutes or so, we'll be able to drop this weather live stream. And yeah, same here, David. Same here. And then we'll go ahead and let it go at least for the next few hours or so, because we're probably going to have to do more of this overnight tonight into tomorrow. So again, that severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for Logan and Scott counties. That goes until 1 o'clock p.m., but I do think that will be chopped off a little bit as that line of storms races off to the east. That is strong winds, though, folks. Very strong winds moving through Magazine, near Blue Mountain and Waveland. Pretty significant winds, and even north towards Subiaco, just outside where that tornado was back on June 17th. Frequent lightning, but the good news is things have died down in Fort Smith. A little cluster of storms moving through portions of Ozark and Cass, as well as Yale. I believe that's in Franklin County there. But starting to wrap up a little bit. Northwest Arkansas getting a little bit of rain. Let's look at our Mount Sequoia camera. It's raining. A little bit of gusty winds. Not very impressive, though. And I don't think it's much to really limit the severe weather potential that we could have later on tonight. So there's a wider view of the storms. And if we put that into motion, again, there was confirmed damage, unfortunately, in the Fort Smith and Arcoma areas. So we'll continue to get more information on that. We just let our news team know, so they might send some folks down there. Maybe we can get some pictures and video of that. But again, the severe weather risk is starting to move out of our weather coverage area at this time. So we'll keep it on until this severe thunderstorm warning either expires or moves out of the River Valley. But if you've got folks that live in Yell County, near Danville, of course, near Waltreek, Briggsville, Waveland, Bluffton, these areas, make sure they're aware that some severe thunderstorms are moving in and they need to be taking their severe weather precautions, as these storms are capable of producing 70-mile-per-hour wind gust. So I know I sound like a broken record right now, and I really, truly wish I could show some cameras. Let's look at, while we're at it, while we're still here, I'm going to pull up a new tab, and I'm going to try and see if we can show you folks the latest meso analysis. Interested to see what the instability is looking like in Northwest Arkansas. So we go to meso analysis here, and we look at our instability. So not really in Northwest Arkansas yet. And that's because, and the reason why the storms haven't taken off in Northwest Arkansas is because that warm front hasn't lifted completely to the north. But as that warm front lifts to the north and we go along in time here, look at that instability start to surge into our area. And this is going to be, this is 6 hours down the line. This is not even when the storms move in, but you can already see that 2,000, 1,500 Cape moving through Northwest Arkansas. So we'll have instability in place. Those lapse rates are going to be really ramping up too. Look at that, about 5.5 degrees Celsius, 7 degrees Celsius. So definitely very dry in the mid levels of the atmosphere. And as Dan was mentioning in that previous weather live stream, dry air in the mid levels is bad news because that can cause strong winds if those storms produce downburst, or if they're dying off a little bit. So just something to be aware of. We are not out of the clear at all in Northwest Arkansas. In fact, you could see if you look at Southwest Kansas, I can't put my mouse over it, but you see that little cluster of storms that develops. That's what's going to push into our area overnight tonight between 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. So let's look at the supercell composite too. You can see it's centered right over the River Valley. That's not going to ramp up until later on tonight, but you can already see it moving north with the warm front. And yeah, so I just wanted to give you folks a quick look at that. Let's look at the latest Rufus model here. Let's see if the newest one's come out. So the newest one has come out. So okay, so it did a good job with the storms that are moving through the River Valley. Let's see what it's got in Northwest Arkansas. Again, these storms are not moving through until the overnight hours. And look at that. Supercell right through Benton County and northern Washington County. So again, we're going to have to be on our A game overnight tonight in Northwest Arkansas because that's where the storms are going to be moving through. Again, if we go back to Arkansas here, look at what time, about 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. That's when these storms are going to be pushing through our weather coverage area. So we'll be here watching that very closely. And guess I get no sleep. Oh, really? I don't get any sleep. So Billy, as I just mentioned, for Northwest Arkansas, as you saw in that model, at about 1 to 6 o'clock in the morning for Northwest Arkansas. I really appreciate that. Definitely just happy to do this. This is my dream, and I'm just happy to help keep you folks safe. And hopefully those storms tonight aren't as intense as what they may eventually be like. But there is some concerns that we could see some pretty strong storms in Northwest Arkansas later on tonight. So we'll be watching that closely, but still watching the severe thunderstorm warning. Still got that considerable tag attached to it for 70-mile-per-hour winds. And I think the main line of winds is now in Yell County. So that's a good sign there. Wow. Definitely very strong, though, starting to move into Yell County, maybe even to the southwest of Scranton near Paris. So I think within about 5 minutes or so, we're going to wrap this up. We've talked about pretty much everything we could, not just for the River Valley, but also for Northwest Arkansas later on tonight. Appreciate everybody that's been sticking around throughout this Weather Live. We'll continue to keep you posted on the damage reports in Fort Smith. Obviously, we'll be here for more updates as we get more information on the severe weather potential overnight tonight into tomorrow. Greg, in all caps, we need rain. We'll take the rain, Greg, but we won't take the severe weather. Hopefully, these storms tonight aren't as intense as they appear, but I am concerned tonight that we could see higher end severe weather in Northwest Arkansas. Again, if you're looking at those models, take them with a grain of salt, all right? Because they did a horrendous job with what's going on right now. Not a single model showed these thunderstorms moving through the River Valley. Not one. And, some of the models aren't showing anything tonight. I know we might get a lot of tweets or a lot of messages asking about, this model's not showing it. I would use caution because these models have been horrible, not just with this system, but really with every system that's moved through the high plains and the central plains over the last several weeks. And this one may be no different. So we'll be here watching it closely. Again, I'm going to drop this off within about 2 minutes or so. But it does look like the majority of the storms are moving out of our weather coverage area. Again, we'll give you one more look at that severe thunderstorm warning with the considerable tag attached to it. Again, that expires at 1 p.m. for Logan and Scott County. That's for 70-mile-per-hour wind potential. You can see that right there. And it's beginning to push out of our weather coverage area and moving into the central Arkansas market. So that's the severe thunderstorm warning. I know I sound like I'm repeating the same thing over and over again. That's because I am. But there's one more look at the severe weather risk. Again, enhanced risk of severe weather for Northwest Arkansas. A lot of folks asked about the timing. You can see it right there between 1 to 6 a.m. tonight. And those storms will have the potential to produce wind gusts up to or over 70 miles per hour in that hash area. All righty, folks. So we're about an hour and 35 minutes in. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Again, Dan will be here. He'll keep you updated on the latest information. I'll be here, of course, overnight tonight with Dan, tracking these storms very closely as they move in. But I'm going to go ahead and go get some rest and get ready for tonight. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday. Again, I appreciate all the kind words, Sarah and David. Really, really appreciate it. And hope you guys have a great rest of Tuesday. Stay dry, stay cool as we go throughout the next several days. And God bless everybody. Have a good one.